They're going. The siren's going to come on. Hi, I'm Paul Peterson. Welcome to Aging Well in LA. As you might suspect, seeing that emergency vehicle drive out of here, this is a show about preparedness, disaster preparedness, not only for our seniors, but for our pets as well. Please stay tuned. Today we have a very interesting program for you. It's about disaster preparedness for seniors and, importantly, for our pets. So please stay tuned. You're going to find this very interesting. I want to introduce three guests, one of whom is a dear friend, Laura Trejo, General Manager of the Los Angeles Department of Aging, and a real good pal. And here on my right, Anna Burton. And Anna, welcome to our show. I look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you.
Okay. And on my far left, we have Captain Stacy Gerlich from the Los Angeles Fire Department. Now, given the mix, we got seniors we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about pet safety in the event of emergencies and how seniors can help on all of those things. So, Laura, let me start with you. We actually have formal programs at the Department of Aging in the event of a disaster of whatever size.
We do. We're very concerned. We want to make sure that older adults and their families are preparing now for any kind of an emergency, whether it be a medical emergency, whether it be a disaster emergency like an earthquake or fire or any other emergency that may be. Planning is really a key element so that folks have the information, the resources that they need in order to be able to do well in any kind of situation. For example, we have been conducting, in partnership with the Department of Emergency Management, Go Kit presentations. These are kits that we help to develop and that we prepare an educational lecture with it so that seniors can begin to have the building blocks of how to prepare an emergency pack. So something that you may need to be able to walk out of your house in case that you need to evacuate quickly.
Right.
We also have been for many, many years working in partnership with first responder agencies with our File of Life program.
Yes.
Another very critical piece of information that people need to put together and have ready to be able to take with them or have available in their home in case of an emergency. We also do a lot of work in collaboration with all of the organizations in the city and the county to make sure that we're all preparing and sharing the same information with seniors.
And it's interesting, a disaster can be as small as just your block. You know, a couple houses catching fire, you've got a problem.
It could be in your home alone.
Well,
and so
that too.
That's also critical. So
Right.
we have to prepare for as many kind of contingencies as we need to.
Right, well, and it's wonderful to hear that there's a coordinated plan. Now, Anna, there's a new emergency preparedness center. I didn't know about this. When was this built?
The city opened its new Emergency Operations Center several years ago. It was bond funded thanks to our taxpayers.
Wow, good.
It's 80,000 square feet and it houses both the Emergency Management Department, fire dispatch for 911, and some LAPD resources. So when a disaster happens, we call upon all of our city agencies and departments as well as our partner agencies to come and help us coordinate to make sure we have all the resources necessary to combat the event, get people to safety, and to be able to start the recovery process for the city.
I got you. Now, one of the reasons I was actually excited about this show is I know, like me, many of our viewers are a little reluctant to undertake the job of getting together a Go Kit and making the plans, who do I call, and all the rest. But on behalf of their pets, they may be more motivated. And pets need a Go Kit too. You need to be able to take care of them.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the hardest things is having people look at what do they really need.
Yes.
If they are asked to leave their home quickly, what do they need to take with them? And in some cases, it's their service animal.
Yes.
So if they have a
Wow.
service animal, what should they take? If they have medications or glasses or any kind of devices, what will they immediately need for
Right.
24, 42, 72 hours? And if they're going to a friend's house, what can they expect? If they're going to a family member, what do they expect? Or if they're going to a shelter where they don't know know what to expect. That's the situation that we're trying to prepare for. So it's a go kit, and it's equipment, and it's any supplies that they may need specific to their own personal needs. And we'll help them ask those questions. You know, if you have hearing aids or glasses or shoes or a cane, and if you don't have those, the city will be able to help you get those at the shelter to help you recover and stabilize yourself.
Is there a central resource where our senior community or caregivers can call or access the internet to get this kind of information, what to prepare for?
Absolutely. Our city has, we've developed a website, and it's called Ready LA.
Ready LA.
Ready
Got,
LA.
Got that, okay.
So you can go there and you can download checklists. You can download, look at the types of disasters that the Los Angeles area is preparing for, earthquakes, floods, fires, all of them basically. And then see what you need, and read about the types of disasters, so you're not shocked when you hear, you know, what those terms mean. What does it mean to evacuate? Or if they say shelter in place, or if they say take your supplies with you, what does that really mean to you? And then to listen to the radio, so when we say evacuate, know where to go. Don't go to somewhere that you presumed yesterday, because it might not be the same place based on the event that we're looking at.
Right. Well, Captain Gerlich, you're on the firing line. You're going to be the first people there, generally, if you can get there. What are the kinds of things that concern you as part of our emergency response team?
Well, you know, I think that the most obvious thing that we have here is the fact that we have, you know, 4 million people that live in the city of LA in about 470 square miles. So we already know that the infrastructure is quite crowded.
Yes.
And what we really need people to understand, and not just seniors, but family, everyone, is that we all have a responsibility in this game. So make a kit, have a plan, be informed, make sure that you understand what's available to you, having different routes to go from point A to point B. If you are dependent on technology, you know, you need to also know how to read an actual map, a paper map.
Right.
So, you know, so I mean, I think that we need to talk about these things because it's true. You know, we have 4 generations living right now. And we have different ways of thinking and different ways of doing things and comfort levels as well. From the fire department, though, really what helps us is that people have a plan. People are ready to go, to leave when they are asked to leave. Because if they don't, then we have to put resources on their home or, you know, to provide protection for them. Obviously, that's what we're here for. But in that big event, which it is hard for us, you said it early on, is it's difficult to get into that thought process, that mentality of saying, oh, you know, I have to get this kit together, I have to do this, I have to do that. We don't really have a lot of devastating, catastrophic events that have happened to us. We had the Northridge quake in '94, but that was more localized. And if you look at things that happen around us, like, you know, Katrina, or you look at the earthquake and the tsunami in Japan, and you look at some of the third world countries where, you know, construction is different, building codes are different. The bottom line is, if we had that, it might be a little bit different in terms of our thought process, our mindset to be more prepared and to take it a little bit more seriously. But, you know, that's just human nature.
Well, I know some of the images that were most disturbing about Katrina, beyond the sense of hopelessness with the people, were the pets that were left behind. And firefighters and EMTs, they were rescuing pets when people needed saving. You go, wait a second, a little better plan here might have helped out. I'm hoping that people in the concerns for their pets, things like microchipping their pets, having a photograph of your pet, its papers, will motivate people to take care of their own needs as well. You see that all the time, and our seniors are pretty good about responding.
They are, and you know, one of the things that we also have to remember is not only are we planning for ourselves and our families, but families also need to, neighbors need to keep an eye on each other.
Exactly.
It's really important that really we take the opportunity to at least know who's around us, because those folks may be actually quite the first responders of any situation occurring. And so I want to encourage seniors to really take that to heart in their families. Another area that we often overlook is any kind of memory difficulty. This is the time to plan. If you have a loved one, an older adult that has a memory problem, we need to have a recent photograph. in case there's something where they need to be connected. That's been a consistent finding in all of the major disasters across our country, is that persons with cognitive difficulties or memory problems become disconnected to their families, and then it becomes very difficult to reconnect them. So I want to encourage families in our community to please take a recent photograph so that they can provide it to someone else. Have the basic information of that person written in the back, something that you can readily give. That should be in the emergency preparedness plan and in the kit that you utilize, just like we do with younger children that may not be able to identify their name, their parents, and their address. The same thing may happen with an older adult who's vulnerable. To the degree that we have all that prepared, it's going to go a lot easier in being able to get us stabilized and back to normal.
And we might not be in our home. We may be miles away. We
That's
could
right.
be out of the country, for goodness sake. And how do you coordinate with everybody if the services are down?
Absolutely, and I think one of the things that we've learned, and we do look at disasters in not just the United States, but in other countries, and say, what did they experience and what can we learn? And we've learned a tremendous about is that anyone in the city, if you're asked to evacuate and you have second thoughts because you have a pet, bring your pet with you. Don't second guess it. Bring it, and we'll make those accommodations at the shelter. We work with animal services, we work with the nonprofit organizations, and we look at ways to support the whole community. So we're working very closely with the Red Cross. We've revised a lot of the ways that we do shelter people now to make sure that we look at how caregivers are supported. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, is if a family member is dependent on a caregiver, talk to the caregiver, talk to the organization, and find out what their plan is. And so if that caregiver can't get to the family that they support, what is their plan? How will they communicate with both the person that's dependent on that and to be able to evacuate or get them to safety? And
or if they're alone with their charge, how can they make medical decisions that may be necessary? They may need authorization.
Exactly. Or if they need help evacuating or any of those other things that they depend on, is that look at those now. And so that in a disaster, that it'll be much easier for them to get around and get what they need.
And it is not that complicated. When you see the forms, in 5 minutes you can figure it out. You can write down those numbers. Is it helpful to people, or for the emergency first responders, if they are met at the door or at least outside of the dwelling, we say, I have special needs here. Is that helpful?
Well, sure, absolutely. I mean, there are obvious signs that we would see, that we would look for: a ramp,
yes, of course,
railings, and things of that nature, or a van or a car that had a lift gate on it. Those types of things. So our situational awareness is pretty keen, obviously, but it's always helpful if someone can meet us, because it takes away that component of, do we need to go seek somebody out to ask this question or verify what we are seeing? That may not be the case. It may be they just moved in, and the house was already equipped for something like that. But
well, I'm hoping people take this to heart. There is much more information available to people on all sorts of websites and numbers to call. And thank you, Laura, and thank you, Stacy and Anna, for joining us today and giving us just kind of the tip of the iceberg of the information that you should access and utilize in the event of a disaster.
At the Department of Aging, we realize the importance of helping people be ready. Be ready for a disaster or an emergency that could come up. In Los Angeles, we know that we might have all kinds of disasters, anything from a fire to police activity to some medical emergency, but we really never know what's going to happen. Today's focus is on the inevitable: earthquakes. We know that in Los Angeles we will have earthquakes, so let's talk about the importance of being prepared. With earthquakes, we know that we can't predict them, we can't prevent them, so the only thing we can do is prepare for them. We encourage people to be ready by having a go kit. Above and beyond what people do to be prepared in their own homes and their neighborhoods, it's very important that older adults have their own go kit that they can grab and go in the event of an emergency. For example, here at the Department of Aging, we have a go kit that we suggest people start, and you can do this by just using an old backpack or finding some other bag that can easily close and carry the few items that we're going to talk to you about. One of the most important parts for older adults is to make sure that they have a 7-day supply of their prescription medications. You can get these pill boxes at various locations, And what we suggest that you do is that you fill it up so that you have the 7 days worth of medications in the event that you have to evacuate and be gone. So the important thing is to be ready for an emergency. Make sure that you have your medications ready and you have a go kit ready to go with you. Be ready.